You see all this? I can't possibly keep up with the number of releases that are happening. Like Incision, right? Incision is cool, and you should play that. It's kind of Dusk-like, except harder, and with a live system for some reason. Proteus came out, and it's the same game it was the last time I covered it. A brilliantly executed FPS, does away with the weird armory nonsense from the previous versions and makes it into a shop. A great shooter that makes good shooter design look effortless. The final level is kind of disappointing, but otherwise it's exactly as good as it was before, and I'm not sure what else I could say about it. Turbo Overkill is releasing Episode 2 in early access on Halloween because these games can't stop happening, they're never stopping, and I'll never be able to cover all of them. Cultic, though, I got a lot to say about Cultic. Chapter 1 of 2. 2 is being sold separately for some reason. I don't get it. I don't get why it's not in early access and instead an episodic release. Like, Cultic is the product of one man, Jason Smith, who did the art, code, game and level design, sound, and music. It kinda has the feel of something that was done by one person, the clarity of focus and the occasional weirdness of what I assume are photo source textures. That is kinda weird. Voxels too, lots of voxels. The very distinct art style that you can absolutely turn off is muddy and grimy, pixelated nearly to death, which makes it even more shocking to me that I can clearly read everything going on in it. Cultic is a surprisingly deep, atmospheric, and wonderfully designed shooter, easily one of the best of the new era. It's clawed its way to the top of the pile from the boom shoot tube over stiff competition. It's 1963 and there are strange happenings in the small town of New Grandwell. Disappearances, murders, and you're taken off the case, but you can't stop because where most cops let it go because it's not worth dying over, this is Detective, Cultic Guy. Detective Cultic Guy hands over his badge and gun and goes in anyway. He pulls up, someone's waiting for him, and he wakes up on a pile of bodies that made me think, even in the demo, that the movement in this game was going to be super slow. It's only slow when you're walking through mangled corpses, which happens a lot more than you'd think even for a game like this. If you played the demo, you more or less know this level, as I already talked about it in a roundup like 14 months ago. However, the layout is a little different, a little streamlined, and everything's been tightened up. Still got hatchets, still can throw hatchets, still can pick up any of the lanterns and use them as a makeshift Molotov cocktail before you find the real Molotov cocktails. One thing that'll be very clear from the start, if you can find this vent secret by jumping up here, is that you have different ways to approach a lot of the combat situations. There are cultists down there, here's some dynamite. You're thinking it's like blood dynamite, and it is kinda. Notice the prompts at the bottom left. Right mouse lights, then once it's lit, right mouse will huck it at full force. Left mouse will do a light toss, middle mouse button will cluster toss, which I found out much later is when you unwrap the bundle and toss a bunch of individual sticks. On top of that, you can press another button to throw an unlit bundle that you can shoot to detonate, so already the dynamite is 3 different attacks. Toss it and oh god! Physics, kids! The cultist's hatchet hits the bundle and sends it right back. A bullet would detonate it. Also good for blowing up your standard issue build engine wall cracks, which are small and hard to see. They're part of the brushwork and not a decal on the wall like in build, so you have to really be looking for it. The hatchet is nice and meaty still, not that you'll see me use it much after I pick up a gun. Gun equals headshots, and those are extremely important in this game. Unlike Blood, the most direct comparison one can draw to Cultic, these enemies have limited location-based damage, meaning always aim for the head. You'll know when you hit it, you'll know when you hit it from space. Even with the limited palette, which you can turn off if you want, I keep it on for the video because it seems like the intended art style, and somehow everything is totally readable with it. Although they can surprise you, the enemy AI is simple. They chase, you shoot. The basic cultists have hatchets that they can also throw, and I'm not fast enough to grab them out of the air, but I know it's possible. You can also stop them with a bullet. Say one of those hatchets gets stuck spinning in the air, a thing that can happen. I didn't try it in this playthrough, but I'm told that this will cause damage to an enemy if you walk up to him with it while it's spinning. Because this game is insane. Near the start, you'll find a weapon upgrade bench. Even when I only have 2 boxes of upgrade parts, I could get an upgrade now, but I'm saving them. There might be enough to fully upgrade your weapons if you find all the secrets, but I'm willing to bet you'll need to pick and choose different upgrades in different playthroughs. Each weapon seems to have 4 upgrades. The pistol lets you upgrade damage, capacity, accuracy, and also a burst fire mode. Why not? The pistol's going to be useful throughout the game, like all of the weapons, except maybe the hatchet. Some people love the hatchet, I love the guns. private investigator named Christopher Holloway was here too, leaving behind some exposition in his field journals. It looks like something funny is going on in this town. Crawl through a vent to get a field kit, your standard portable med kit that can replenish health on command. But wait! There's more! Yeah, there's more. That should be the tagline of this game, because there's always more. There's always a caveat, a little inclusion to spice things up. For the field kit, if your health is full and your field kit isn't, the game takes half the HP from the health pickup and dumps it in there for later. Why has no one thought of this before? I don't know. It's fairly balanced since you'll be soaking up damage, plus a lot of enemies will drop the smaller health pickups for you. 15 on instant use and 7 saved in the field kit. Maybe you can't open this door marked Armory, but you'd be a fool to think you can't get in there, and the designer would be a cruel bastard if they didn't let you after teasing it. So you blow up the wall on the side of the building and you get a couple of Molotovs, some armor, and a sawed-off shotgun. You get ballistic armor and blast armor, yes, 2 different sets of armor that defend against different things. I may have Molotovs, but I'm still taking this lantern and using it to my advantage. Shotgun is good. It'll be better later with the upgrade to tighten the spread. The pistol itself is fine for long-range fighting, a fairly common thing in this game, which is why it gives you the lever-action rifle early. The one I mistakenly called a shotgun in the demo. No, it is definitely not a shotgun because it takes magnum rounds. It's the most important weapon you'll get. It might look stubby, but don't be fooled. Headshots in this game can trigger slow motion, because there's always more. Just like tossing a lantern is a gamble when dealing with cultists who have real guns and not hatchets. Son of a bitch! They are dumb, but they aren't as dumb as you think. The physics play such an integral role in the combat that this might as well be a Source Engine game. Before getting into this particular example, as I'm sliding down this muddy slope, I use the lever-action rifle for its intended purpose, one-shot no-scoping motherfuckers from across the map. As you'll see, the enemy hatchets don't quite make it up the hill, and they find it hard to target me here, unlike most other places where they have absolutely killer accuracy. Dynamite goes downhill. Clean up the remaining cultists with the shotgun. There are a lot of cultists around here still. One on these catwalks. He hasn't seen you yet. Mercifully, enemies aren't alerted the second you walk into the area. This too is integral to Cultic's gameplay. That cultist sniping you from up there while you're at the bottom dealing with the rest of his brothers would be shitty. It would be frustrating and not fun. But wait! There's more! As in, there's more of his friends at the top of this hill. That's fine, I brought a lantern. I toss it, one of the cultists tosses dynamite, I jump from the explosion, the slow-mo from the absurd 100-yard headshot bought me a little time, jump away from the fiery explosion, narrowly avoid the tossed dynamite, one guy survives, and one guy is still burning. This is the constant push and pull of Cultic's combat. It is a crazy satisfying moment in a game that is absolutely full of moments like this. Again, first level. You only have access to a fraction of the game's weapons. You drop into a pile of corpses, indicating that there have been a lot more murders here than I was previously led to believe. And there's gonna be a lot more. There's bodies on the ground, the barrels are full of jibs. I have the double tap a direction to dash option enabled, so I dash into a bear trap. I won't be making that mistake again. Okay, but I certainly won't make it any worse. 40 barrels today, 50 tomorrow. Do good job. More friends? Ew. I think one of the harvesters wrote this. What's a harvester? Ugh, don't get caught by these guys. You'd think it's a simple melee attack, right? But wait! There's more! No, they toss bear traps and explosives, and if you do get hit with that melee attack, it's not a light touch. No, this game remembers that you're getting sliced down the middle with a fucking chainsaw. All of this is in the first level. My least favorite level in this episode. What this game takes from Blood is the ability to send CPU melting amounts of damage towards the enemy. They're not quite as deadly as Blood cultists, at least not on hard. I don't know, let's try it on extreme for a little bit. Yeah, there's a guy right outside with a submachine gun just waiting to kill you. And it takes at least one extra shot to the head to take a cultist down. That's unpleasant, I don't recommend it. This second level is exactly the point that Cultic fully won me over, and when I fully grasped the "but wait, there's more" philosophy of this game. The loading screen tells you, the shipyard. So what are you thinking, a wooden ship on some docks? And that's fine, nothing wrong with that. Until you get to this hole in the ground and get your first glimpse. Oh yeah, some docks, some boats, sure, one shot the poor dumb cultists on the docks and jump down there. And then you get down there to find the intricately laid out, lived-in wooden catwalks and used smaller boats, including one that's been sunk with some goodies. Then the main area sneaks up on you, a cargo ship that's fully explorable. The open areas you've been sniping through stop for a while so you can have some fun with the shotgun. Maybe you want to take care of the bridge crew before getting the key to access it. Maybe you find a way into the showers and find a bar of soap, and maybe the soap in this game is also deadly. I'm sure he already knows. A thing Cultic shares with Dusk, and one of the reasons that it is so successful as a game, is because it's not just a throwback shooter, it's a throwback shooter made by someone who knows these kinds of games back to front, and knows just when to do a little twist on the formula to catch other people who know these games back to front off guard. Let's not step on the bear traps this time. Let's use a Molotov on this unsuspecting cultist that I can see a mile away, and all of his friends. I love the fire sprites, I love them. That's not enough, here's a harvester, chucking bombs at you. Fine. Hey, there's a bear trap under that barrel that's mysteriously floating in what? Okay, physics objects are being tossed at me, mines are haunted, no surprise there. Until you walk into pain. Even though these enemies are called ghosts, I don't think they're literally spirits. They have telekinetic abilities and can throw anything at you. The game mercifully doesn't give them a ton of health, and they can be headshotted like the cultists. And you will need to do that, because there can be two of them coming at you in the same room. There are two of them in this cave. And 90% of the time when I kill one, it explodes into a shower of viscera, making it plain as day that the immediate threat is dealt with. Next up, the Mine Town, the third level, where, you guessed it, the game throws another expectation-smashing curveball. I don't particularly like having to search through darkness and fog for quest items, a crank and a gear to lower a bridge. This beautifully lit abandoned truck leads me to the crank. And right here, you should know that the enemy count you get when you press tab is bullshit. Don't rely on it to know how far you are through a level, because the game can spawn more. Oh, zombies, wow, I'll just headshot them. Oh, fuck! Don't think just because the zombies are ferocious and lunge at you to quickly close the distance doesn't mean the game won't throw a dozen or more at a time at you. You've got a lot of explosives. Use them. This game has really good explosions. So, you know, there's your new enemy for the map so you can get a feel for them. But wait, there's more. One of the few spongy enemies in this game that really takes some effort to bring down. You can dodge the attacks because this guy doesn't have a ranged attack, every other enemy does, but he's set up as such a threat through the design of this area, which gives you plenty of space to move around and plenty of opportunities for the brute to interact with physics objects. Most importantly, smashing the fuck through them in a really intimidating way. Enter this building for the toughest and most varied fight yet. Cultists, ghosts, a harvester, impeccable placement and pacing. Enter the mines, and I like the enemies who aren't the shield cultists. You can still headshot them or break their shield, but fuck them, they're getting exploded. This level almost feels like a break after the last one. No new enemies are introduced, you get a flashlight instead of having to rely on the lighter and whatever one-handed weapon you can carry at the same time. This is a false sense of security, because we've got skeletons. Not just skeletons, skeletons of cultists who have guns. I don't remember where I got the Sten, but it's not as useful as the pistol in my opinion until you upgrade it to tighten the accuracy and make the rate of fire ridiculous. I would have upgraded the magazine capacity, but it already holds 50. You know what, never mind about that brake part, everything's going to hell. We've got another new enemy, the Devourer, who helps me explain one of the few flaws this game has. Larger enemies like the Brute and the Devourer have a habit of getting stuck on the environment. This Devourer spits some kind of horrible infected parasite blood at you or something, so it still has that. Yet another new weapon because this game never stops, the FG-42. Remember when we got one of these in Return to Castle Wolfenstein? Imagine your lever action, except it's semi-auto and has a scope. Really useful, so ammo's relatively scarce. So I'm going around these mines, having fun. I pull out a Molotov cocktail, thinking whatever's waiting for me in this pit is probably not going to respond well to fire. Then I notice... what does that do? Holy shit! Why has no one thought of this before? This level builds up to some kind of buried chamber that houses something important and evil, but it's not there, so we move on to the midpoint of the episode, which might as well be an end-of-episode kind of challenge. Constantly spawning enemies of all flavors. I thought this could be the end of the episode, honestly, because it gives me a pump-action grenade launcher. A good old China Lake. A pump-action grenade launcher is cool, right? By the end of this episode, through upgrades, I have it holding 6 frag shells and slam firing, because it's just not fucking ridiculous enough, because you can always have more! A chapel, an arena, a horde of enemies, quick saving gets disabled, and a friggin' tank that I cheesed from this corner of the building here and plinked away at with the FG-42. I can't get any closer, it's destroying my cover. I still want the final hit to be a real nice explosion. Now comes the Asylum Grounds, my favorite level, the one where I think everything about this game's combat and flow comes together the best. Oh, sniper cultists now? I've been sharpshooting cultist domes since level 1, so this isn't even a problem. I forgot to do this earlier. Someone told me this was a thing that was possible, and I didn't believe it would work, but here we are, evidence of it working, caught in 4K. Now that's some ludicrous jibs. There are enemies introduced in this level that do give me trouble. Elite cultists, gas mask, armored, dual wielding, take twice as much punishment as the regular kind. They know how to crouch. These cultists have played blood. They still can't stand up to both barrels from the shotgun. And the rarely seen cultists with grenade launchers. After some build-up, you know, good pacing, you're thrown into a big open area with many different routes to take around the building. Because every enemy in the map won't gang up on you once you fire the first shot, it allows you to clear different sections in whatever order you like. All you have to do is find a can of gasoline to power an elevator. Well, it's a little more complicated. The gas can is inside a Don't Dead open inside garage, where you'd expect to find a gas can. You need a key, and I can't kick boost into the garage from the top. Oh, yeah, the kick boosting, for when you need to get to light speed, but the game kinda wants to sorta balance it, so it's tricky to keep a chain of them going. The game gives you a flamethrower, so it's only natural that there's a cultist with one. Probably the worst cultist you have to deal with. But I know a secret. Nothing like a new weapon to make an old enemy pay for their sins.
Found a shortcut through a hedge maze.
I'm contractually obligated to add Simpsons clips in. Seasons 1 through 10 only. I hope y'all understand. I wonder what's inside the Don't Dead open inside garage. Fuck! Inside the asylum is a little spooky. For a while. It's dark, there's ghosts, there's armored zombies. Yes, I swear this is becoming Army of Darkness right under our noses, so boomstick 'em. No. No! Stop it! Dumbass. Tossing unlit TNT and shooting it is an essential skill in this game that will never not be fun, because your weapons are generally very accurate. Someone set this whole building on fire while I was off grabbing gas for the generator to power another elevator that'll exit the level. I'll go. I mean, it seems like sticking around would be a bad idea since everything in this game is made from wooden explosives. Let me just upgrade my Sten first. Unlike in Return to Castle Wolfenstein, this one doesn't overheat, even if you make the fire rate ridiculous and feed 50 bullets through it in 5 seconds. The tail end of this episode is made up of big arenas that I usually approach by sniping the inconveniently placed enemies and then cleaning up the rest with explosives. Cultists now have a red orb around them, making me think that they're powered up somehow. They seem a little faster and more aggressive. Their heads explode just the same. Alright, final level. Time to finish this once and for all. Ah. Yeah, I tried that. It's not gonna shit. Okay, so in the tradition of Blood, and retro FPS games in general, this boss is actually pretty easy and the problems come from the supporting enemies around him. I died once because I stopped moving. The general idea is to shoot his face until the blue bar runs out, and then attack the heart. Repeat this step a couple of times for an abrupt end and the promise of more in the future. Looks like a portal opened and the only way to not die from the collapsing caves is through there, likely to some terrible dimension of evil. I hope I don't have to upgrade all my weapons again. The second chapter will be sold separately as DLC in the future for some reason. This chapter was $10 and it took me about 3 hours to complete. It seems okay for pricing, I suppose, but for this game, this is an exceptional hoop bloop. Aside from underwhelming bosses, which at this point is a tradition of retro FPS games. How are you going to beat the satisfaction of storming a whole damn asylum full of cultists and the moment-to-moment joy of action and reaction between the small armies you're facing everywhere else? Stamp it, Civvie approved. Roll the how'd I do.